Today we have Tom Allen, the founder and CEO of the AI Journal. It's a tech and AI newsletter with over 100,000 monthly readers, and he also gets over 2 million monthly views on socials, so that's pretty fire. Tom has been building this newsletter and this media company for the last 4 years. Really excited to have you on and just chat about everything newsletters, growth, monetization. So thanks for coming on.
No, I really appreciate it, Andy. It's a pleasure. It's seeing the stuff you were posting, and it was good to get connected. And yeah, love what you're building. So it's pleasure's all mine.
Fire. Well, so it's been 4 years, Tom. Could you walk us through, the early days of the AI Journal? What was like your initial vision? What made you start this newsletter? And yeah, just the early days.
Yeah, it was. It's an interesting time, like when AI was coming about. I was working in marketing for an engineering company, and that's where I kept seeing, or started to see, had real exposure to automation systems and a lot of physical systems like robotics. And I was only there for a short time, but I saw things like Fanuc and ABB and all these big robots and dealing with car doors to sorting machines. And the big thing that took my attention was an automation machine that was using like sensors to scan, like RFID scanners. And it was I was understanding like how the data was being relayed back to a control center to basically optimize and improve the throughput of the machines for like a big sorting center, for like a big I don't know what you got over there, like Parcel Force and UPS and DPD and all those big delivery companies, at least over here in the UK. And it really opened my eyes. So I thought I'd just start blogging about it. And that's where we created the website. And it just grew into the newsletter and into socials. And then our LinkedIn was like one of the hotspots where it took off, which we're now 150,000 followers. And it just kind of went from step to step. We had a bit of a setback in 2023 because we tried to change like the business process and like where we were going. But I mean, look, it's to me, it's just a lot of fun. It's something I'm passionate about, something I enjoy. I don't necessarily know if it will be my end game. I think there's other businesses that are waiting for me to go into, because I like building things, or I've had that first. I'm not saying I'm a good builder or a good coder or anything like that, but I've had my run-ins with that kind of world, and it's fascinating. I mean, it's really interesting, and building it, you really see from a media perspective. You'll notice, Andy, it's the access you get to people, and the access you get to tools, and the access you get to founders and people. And I mean, there's some that aren't my type of people, but regardless, like, it's always interesting to understand where they're coming from, what they're trying to build, what have they spotted that you haven't spotted, like what are they building the product for, and why are they. And I think with tech, you different to some industries. I mean, I always think people that are really getting into technology and building a product, building a software, this is a personal view, is they're much more passionate about it compared to someone that's, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, compared to someone that's building drop shipping businesses or things that, are very rinse and repeat. These things, you really need to build a product and tool, and it's fascinating. You come across a lot of passionate founders and a lot of people that really believe in what they're building, even if it's a small gimmicky gadget. There's nothing wrong with those businesses. I think they're awesome. Like, as long as, like, I found an app that literally, I think it only does like I forget the guy's name, but it does like $2,000 a month in revenue. And the guy, he's like a 19-year-old, but it gets
Is that
300,000.
Gary?
Maybe, yeah. And it
Yeah,
gets like
Cal AI. Yeah.
300,000 million. It gets like 300,000 monthly hits, and it's like fucking crazy how you've built that. Like, regardless of the revenue, like as soon as people like that, when they find a product, that they're the ones that are going to build very profitable, very successful businesses. So, point being, it's starting it was a bit of a whirlwind, and I kind of just fell into it by chance. It wasn't really a goal or a vision. Now it's more of a vision: what to do with it, how to sell it on, what to build, how to add more value, and build a kind of business around it, I guess. But a lot of the things I just do for the fun. I don't really do it for the other parts that I'm having to be taught very quickly by other people that are more in tune with that. I'm kind of in my own little theme park at times, just having fun. So it's a lot of fun, man. It's a lot of fun.
Very cool. So you were interested in robotics and how to like automate these things, and you start writing about it. were you thinking about monetization early on, or like building a business, or was it just only like a fun thing?
It was fun. It was. I mean, I was in a job for a year while I was building it. I think I started in January 2021. No, January 2020, and I left to build the thing properly in January 2021. And I had a very minimal savings account to fall back on, and it's when pandemic was really roaring. Everyone was moving back home. People were, you weren't going out. No one was doing anything. Like everyone was saving money. In some respects, because you just can go out and do things. But I never really had any monetization plan until then, and then I was like, shit, I'm actually gonna have to make money off this thing if I want to live. Like, so you start trying to think like, how can I build it? And those first 2 years, I mean, we took a massive hit in 2023 because we tried to turn the business. I don't know what influenced me, Andy, to try and move it to more like a research company, and it just flopped massively. And last year we did a massive, it took a while, but we did a big 360 and just turned back to, or 180 to what we were doing in 2022, which is just really leaning into being media and having fun and writing stories and giving our opinion and just connecting with people. And I think people, when you are a brand, like AI Journal is a very clear signal of what we do and who we are. And when you try and do other things, it's not, but to your point, yeah, I didn't have a monetization plan. And, I started to build it as like a secondary thing. Like I'd like to think I'm quite employable. I could go to and I also joked, I said I should have probably gone to a SaaS company like Salesforce or HubSpot, or I don't know, a TeamViewer or a DocuSign or some high growth company, Dropbox, whatever world, one of those vendor SaaS companies, to understand how those things work. Because media, I mean, you see people say, like, you can get very high margins now in the media business, especially newsletters, due to platforms like Beehive, and other ones. And, there's new models out to keep your costs quite substantially low, to have a lot less overheads. But media, typically, if you looked at it 5-10 years ago, was a very expensive business to run. You need to hire journalists, you need to do this, you need to do that. And now a lot of people, like probably similar to you, and I want to know what you think, but I don't really go to a journalist to get my news. I go directly to a content creator or to a newsletter or to someone that's, there's a lot of people that are in businesses in those big companies that are like a spokesperson for them, because they've built their own personal brand alongside, and they kind of reflect whatever those big companies are doing. And it's, but yeah, long story short, no, I didn't, but I had to quickly realize how to monetize
When
it.
did you start? So you started, when the pandemic hit, and like how were you thinking about it? Yeah, how did you start? Like, where did the first money come from?
That's a good question. I actually don't know. Maybe beginning of 2021 with a sponsored report we did, and it was a mess. Like I'm amazed we got paid for it, to be honest. And it was, I mean, we've had a lot of messy things. Like there's one that we're in a bit of a mess with at the moment. We don't know what to do, or we're trying to figure it out with them how to fix the problem. But yeah, I think it was about £5,000, so £5,000. So what's that, like $7,000? And I think that was January 2021, like when I just moved into the business, and I'd realized we were going to get the revenue in about December, and it was just getting signed off by their team. And I think maybe I got like a few small $50 deals. I didn't know what I was doing with it. I really wasn't doing it for money at that point, because I had a very comfortable job that was paying me quite well for my age at 26 or whatever I was, 27. And yeah, maybe it was something then, but that was definitely the big, when I first saw over $1,000 hit our bank account. I was like, wow, that was like, and then you start thinking, and then we had a few quiet weeks, and you're still trying to do it, and I made enough money off that, and then it was really around when I was seeing what we could do. Like we tried ads, and I don't think ads was a big thing. It was around September time where we made like a £15,000 sale or something. It's like a $20,000 sale, and that's when I really started seeing like, wow, you can really start
How
making
many
money.
subscribers did you have? When you first got that, over $1,000 deal, the sponsor
Yeah,
report.
it was about $7,000. I think we might maybe 10,000 followers, if that. 10,000 subscribers. It wasn't much. Like subscribers in the newsletter, probably less, probably like 1,000 subscribers, maybe. Like it wasn't much. So.
So sounds like they found you.
Yeah, I mean, I chatted to them. They'd seen it. I was building all my networks and building my connections. And I mean, I've always had a bit of a voice on LinkedIn and stuff. And I mean, it's not the best platform anymore. But yeah, they found us through that, and then we started promoting it and pushing it in the newsletter. And I mean, you know, you're talking at a time before Gen AI was about, like ChatGPT wasn't around. People really weren't. I wasn't like I didn't know many people apart from the big brands. No one was pushing it. No one was pushing the narrative of AI back. I can't really remember. They were all pushing narratives of automation and RPA and robotic process automation, intelligent automation, and saying that was going to be the next big thing. And you know, chatbots were seen as a kind of gimmick. Like they weren't really seen as powerful, kind of what they are now, which is, you know, Claude or Anthropic or Claude or Perplexity or whatever model you're using, Llama. Um, there was none of, I can't remember any conversations like where you would say AI and people would get excited. It'd be like, oh yeah, cool. I think the moment ChatGPT came on the scene, things changed, and we really fucked it, because that's when I was trying to change the direction of the business. But now we're recovering from that, and yeah, it's a change, but
Hmm.
yeah.
I'm curious. So you said you made that 7K with a list less, you know, of less than 10K people. It sounds like they came all from LinkedIn. So it sounds like there was a high quality audience. And so was it, you know, was it a what kind of company sponsored you?
It was I can see exactly who it was. It was Data IQ. It was a mixture of three companies: Virtual Operations and I can't remember the other. Robocorp. So two of them, one of them was a reseller for like ITSM services, like IT services, IT management services, sorry. And the Data IQ are kind of in like data optimization from what I understand. I haven't probably followed them for a while. And Robocorp are now they've merged into another company, but they do specific RPA, like very process automation tasks, like I don't know.
So B2B, like, yeah, automation. So very relevant to your newsletter.
Yeah.
And you said you know, a few weeks later, you were like, you know, how do we do that again?
Yeah. Pretty much
Yeah.
straight away. Yeah. Straight
How did
away.
that happen? Like, how were you thinking about it? You know, what were the next steps? So you got that deal. You were like, okay, let's do it again. What did you do next?
So I wanted to try and replicate it as quickly as possible. And that's a really good question. I remember I sat and I was trying to, for a few weeks, trying to figure out like, how do I grow my audience? The big thing that we try to do is how to move the audience from the website to the newsletter, because newsletters can be monetized much quicker. You can be in, I don't know, you can use like Passion Fruit, you can use Paved, you can use Beehive's network. I'm not too sure about the other ones, but there's other platforms like Ghost, and they're ones you actually publish on that aren't as powerful in my opinion, but I've not used them, so I can't really comment. I know, and I think it's not fair to compare certain newsletters against other ones. But my point being, I was very clear on trying to figure out and it's really hard because people didn't know who I was, and people didn't. It's not like the platforms that are available now. Like Beehive wasn't really around. I hadn't heard of them by this point, and I only found out about Beehive maybe a year ago. So you can think, Andy, like how tricky it was to buy people's trust, and you're talking about something that really, like, I know how long AI has been about, and I know how some of the bigger companies like Salesforce had tests of using AI as early as 2016, from what Mark Benioff says. Like they were trying to build it into their products with very limited success. Microsoft the same.
Mm.
But you know, it was really weird. People didn't want to talk about it that much. It was almost like people wanted to talk about automation and RPA and things that now are considered irrelevant. Like I don't really remember the last time I heard someone say like, "Oh, it's amazing how you can do intelligent automation and RPA." Everyone looks at it like it's fucking Power Automate. It's easy. Like, you know, they're built into platforms. Very, you know, they're built in as automations. They're simple. And he's not saying it's not an impressive technology. It is how you get these robots, you know, bots
Yeah.
basically taking files from one folder to another or whatever. But there was a big push to try and find the next sponsor and the next thing. And I remember it being really hard. And the next thing we got, funnily enough, was like a research sponsor that wanted us to promote their report. And that was on NLP. So that was about like natural language processing. And that's where we got the next big sponsor and committed them to a certain amount of editions. And that was the next big chunk of revenue. I mean, we took smaller bits in between there, but I actually can't remember, like, I guess it was like webinar sponsors that we'd push to our network and stuff, like $1,000 and $3,000 and things like that. Yeah.
Do you remember how you got those sponsors?
Just talking to them, like really talking to them. Just I think they liked us. They could see we're a small company. We kind of pushed a narrative that we had a niche audience, which can sometimes work. So it's like we've got a audience of people really specific to their network or to their audience reach. And I guess maybe, especially in 2022, we had our best year. We were selling to everyone. Like everyone was buying shit off us. It was a really good year, and in various different packages and sizes. And we didn't. I don't know why I didn't keep that momentum up into 2023 and try to do a business change. It just didn't work. But it was mainly just speaking to them. Like, I mean, I'm pretty
And
chatty person.
was it like LinkedIn or email or
Yeah, LinkedIn.
events?
Yeah, LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
Because we were growing our LinkedIn so quickly, we were growing like 7,000 new followers a month at one point, which is like close to 400 every day, 300 every day. And we were just posting really funny stuff, and we still do that now. Like, you look at our Instagram, the AI Journal, we've only got like 142 followers. We only started 2 weeks ago, and everything is just reels. And it's like, if I show you it now, because like, what have we done? I don't know if you can see that. Like 348,000 views, if you can see that, in 21st of Jan, but that's in the last 30 days. If I do last 14 days, it's still 348,000. So it's where am I going with this? That's where a lot of our connections are coming from LinkedIn and stuff, and we're basically moving that across to the newsletter. And I think it's the power of what companies are really doing, which is powering the creator, like you well know, Andy. Like, it's or I'd imagine like powering people. Don't necessarily want to go down all these traditional advertising routes anymore. They want to go to niche audiences, and I've seen like newsletters that apparently have 10,000 subscribers and they're doing 6-figure years. It's like, that's pretty incredible. Like, of 10,000 contacts, like, you've done $100,000 a year business. It's like, it's remarkable, because people, advertisers see, and I don't know this world too much. It's something I'm trying to constantly learn around CPCs and CPMs. It's to get 100K, whether it's through premium subscriptions or sponsored content. It's impressive. Like, and it shows how people can, you can get started. I mean, my business, literally, AI Journal cost, we took on a lot of fees as we grew, but the original idea was like 30 quid. So it's like $60 to buy, $50 to buy the domain, the hosting on the basic level. And now our monthly fee for the server is obviously, it's like 110 quid a month because of our server. And it's soon going to go up again to like £180 a month to go to a bigger AMD server. And you think, but it doesn't cost much to get started, and you can just play with things. So it's fascinating. So you can imagine, I was having like a monthly fee of maybe 10 quid because I spaced out over the year, and then all of a sudden you get $5,000 come in. You're like,
Nice
wow,
margin.
yeah. You think this is going to happen every week, which obviously it doesn't. But
So you started getting those sponsors. It sounds like you were reaching out to these B2B companies specifically, that would be relevant to your niche. And
yes.
so they might have saw that, they might have seen that you have so many followers and you have a lot of engagement, relevant people. And obviously, that feels like a premium because it's a niche audience. It feels like you can pay premium for that audience and get some sort of return. What was next? Like, what did you just scale that? Did you try other channels to get more sponsors, like maybe cold email, maybe events? Yeah.
Yeah, we tried. It's good to remember about it, because we tried. I think we're in an industry where people start to know who you are, like, quite quickly. Like, they catch on to who the outlets are and who people are. And I'd always say, like, LinkedIn, because of our size on there now, is still one of our biggest networks for like brand recognition, alongside our newsletter maybe. And people come up to me when they see me at events and they're like, "Oh, this is your newsletter. You're a journalist. This is your newsletter, and this is your thing." It's like, yeah, it's quite cool to see what they think. They're from quite big companies and they're quite senior, and it's like, fuck is that guy reading us about this stupid thing that we wrote about? Like, it's they're telling you it's good. It's and we're just writing silly things, but it's it yeah, he was trying to push it to different channels, but I think that's a big problem. People, why I like these kind of new, uh, real focus on one or two channels, because like X, we're not very big on X, and there will come a day where we will go big on that platform. And maybe people are saying, "Oh, you should get started today," and I true to a degree. Like Instagram is our next platform, and you can see we rejected that, and we're hitting it really hard, and that's going to be. I mean, if we're talking again, either on my podcast or yours, Andy, in a year's time, hopefully you'll see that channel at 150,000 followers or 200,000 followers. The rate that we're going, like we reached like 100,000 accounts in the past 2 weeks, and you think, what have we got to do to get them subscribing? Like that's the next question for us, because that doesn't necessarily lead to any revenue off Instagram, but it leads to all sorts of opportunities where people just associate brand with network and knowledge and all that kind of stuff. But we really tried to push just the newsletter and LinkedIn. So those were our two channels that we really focused on. And then email to a degree, like we get a lot of emails at the moment from through the website, through a contact page, through people responding to our newsletter. And yeah, I don't know. Like if you're producing content every day, people find you and people work out ways to start talking to you, and you get invites to events and all that kind of stuff. But I never really had like a set strategy as such. I didn't, and it's good to have a strategy. I just never had that. I kind of winged it quite, but I still wing it today, to be honest. Yeah.
Nice. We all wing it.
Yeah.
So what would you say were your all like maybe monetization mistakes? What
Yeah.
mistakes did you make, and what have you learned from those in terms of monetization?
Yeah, so we spent a lot of money on shit we just didn't need. Got suckered into buying tools and platforms I didn't need. Uh, Hiring people because I thought it was the right thing to do, when it turns out it's not. So we lost. They're good people, but we just didn't need them in the business. Like there wasn't a process for them.
What kind of tools were you like investing or
I mean, I was
buying?
looking at using Salesforce at one point, Andy, and that was going to set us back like £15,000 a year. And you look at it now, it's like, I don't need fucking Salesforce. I'm not a big enterprise company. Like, why do I need Salesforce? An Excel sheet or HubSpot or the free version of, whatever you can get on like Starters Hub with Microsoft or Notion. It's perfect. Like, I don't know why I was looking at those apps, and we never spent that money. But we were spending money on like Microsoft, and we moved across to, or we're in the process of moving across that cheaper. Sponsored things that we didn't need to sponsor, and they just had no way of measuring our results. So we sponsored a conference and promised me the world, got absolutely fuck all for it, which is a big problem separate that we hear from a lot of vendors. It's kind of you sponsor it because your competitors are sponsoring it, even though you don't really get any sales from it. So it seems a bit of a weird one.
Sponsoring
And
conferences.
yeah, I don't like, there are conferences that, have you got an experience with them, like, or heard things like?
Sponsoring conferences? No, I haven't done. Yeah, sponsor. Yeah, I haven't sponsored any conferences yet.
They're
But
well,
but
you
I
could,
see like it's mostly big companies. Google, whatever, Meta. Like they have a
yeah,
bunch of
exactly,
brand budget. They just want logos everywhere.
exactly. They want
Yeah.
brand at the moment. You can show that, but it's I'm not talking like we sponsored big conferences like Web Summit or uh, CES or one of those big ones, but smaller little conferences. And I don't know what tools did we use. I used Monday at one point. We were using a HR tool. I need a
Any
HR tool.
specific like monetization mistakes? Maybe you wanted to do like try this way to get more sponsors, or maybe you tried some other ways to monetize the newsletter other than selling ads.
Mm. Yeah,
And
we tried selling things that didn't work, like tried to go into domains that just didn't really fit our narrative. And I guess we didn't spend money, but we spent a lot of time building things that just, we're a media company, and it's like, this isn't what a media company does. And I think you scare people when you start doing that. Like, you want to come up with a big, bold idea, and it's like, there is a limit to that. And it's, if you want to go build a new like we're trying to build all sorts of things, from bookstores to courses to knowledge directories, and you think, now I look back at it, I'm like, why did I spend all that time and hire people to build mock-ups? But a lot of our money went on people, and now we're a very small team where it's only me, Darshani, and Nasima. Like, there's three of us. Like, it's and Nasima's part-time, and you think, you know, we can handle everything because you put processes in place. But I don't know if we actually made too many mistakes that way. It's just that constant thing, like slightly spending more than what you're taking is risky. But I don't. Yeah, we had some mistakes, like the sponsoring that we did, because I thought it'd be nice to put a name on it. But like you say, it's the big companies that do that. I guess we misspent on ads a few times, like thinking, oh, we'll run ads, and you really need to track. And that's what I said to you before it started. Like, that's our next big thing. But before we go into it, we want to make sure that is something I won't wing. That is something I'll make sure, like, what creatives work, how to maybe test it, like how to start an ad campaign from $10. If that works, duplicate it to $20, and, you know, just keep doubling it. That's a strategy. I'm sure you'll have better strategies than me for that kind of world. And you know, that's where you need to work with people and to understand, like, what does that do? How does that work? Like, what if we put 50 quid into this, or if we put 5 grand into this, or we put 50 grand into this, how are we gonna measure it? And, you know, having full expectations, this isn't going to take a month. This might take, you know, like Instagram, for me, it's like, if I'm not a 250,000 followers in a year, then I'll start looking at why. Or if I'm at 100,000, I'll be like, something's worked. If I'm at 500 followers and it's a year from now and we're doing 500,000 views every month just now, it's like, I'm doing something fucking wrong. Like, what's going wrong here? But yeah, I don't think we hit too many of those things, because we don't make a lot of money. So we, you know, we haven't got buckets of cash to throw at things like a big corporate that will spend £1 million and they can swallow that fee up, and, you know, they've got subscription value of 10 million a month or whatever.
It sounds like you've tried selling. Like, I'm just, you know, this podcast exists for smaller, or pretty much small to medium newsletters to like learn to grow their newsletter, monetize their newsletter. So I think monetization is just one of the biggest things where, you know, if you get it wrong, like, you know, you don't make money. That's
Yeah.
it. You're done. I mean, unless it's like a side project and you just kind of, which is, it's great, you know, you doing what you love, like writing about what you love. But so it sounds like you tried selling directories and your own courses and products, and that didn't go well, right?
Referrals. So, like, making money off referrals. We didn't
Oh,
sell our own.
referrals, like, okay, like affiliate marketing, or
Yeah, exactly.
oh, I see. Got it.
Yeah.
I
And
see.
it does work for some people. I tell you what does seem to work, that I've seen people, as you were mentioning it, for small, medium newsletters, building a relationship with a very small group of businesses, like 4 or 5 brands. And I saw this, I think I saw it on X, I don't know, on X maybe, or on LinkedIn, and you sell them like 5 spots for a month or whatever, and you basically bulk, and then you get 5 companies taking 5 each. That should cover you up for 5 weeks. So you've got just over a month, and they pay you like $2,000 each or $1,000 each. So they get a really good rate. And that's like a strategy for small companies that, you know, you can keep, or four, sorry. So you've got 4 weeks of just constant bookings. And that way is a really good way of doing it, like to build those in. It's an interesting one. Yeah. That works quite well for small newsletters.
What mistakes do you see other newsletter operators are making right now when it comes to monetizing their newsletters?
But I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe not. I think a lot of newsletters are very, like, look at superhuman AI, and I like to think this is what we've got over those. Like, I respect them. I read their newsletters. Like, I love them. It's not saying I don't love them. I'm talking big here, but smaller companies, they can build it from the ground up. Like, smaller newsletters, like local newsletters, are a massive hit at the moment. Like, the amount of local newsletters I see that they do screenshots, it's like, I need to start a local newsletter. That's crazy. Like, I need to start one for here in the UK, like my local city or whatever, because they really seem to be taking off. And, you know, have 6 of them, you're going to be, you know, you're probably going to be close to £1 million a year business, because they make people really want to advertise a business wants to advertise to someone that's 5 streets down the road, like a restaurant wants to advertise to a certain, like there's lots of good things. And I think the newsletters I follow from small to big, the one mistake or the one thing they always do, I'm not saying all of them do it, like some do affiliates and some do other things, but having a model that doesn't just do sponsors, like having something further than that, like having something like and I know people are moving towards this model now, like joining networks or joining premium is a good way of doing it, or building it up to have those different routes, or like masterminds, and people do those things. But like us with like sponsored research, people will pay tens of thousands for us because the amount of leads will pass them. And you think there's big newsletters in there. If you just have and I know Beehive have built it in to build a website, if you can build a lead magnet and you're sharing all those downloads, you're holding them and they're holding them. Like it starts small, like that was one of our first sales. But as that grows, like, it's a mat you can charge tens of thousands in one big lump sum. And it's like things like that, like to start to have built into your newsletter. But I mean, it's I don't know. I wouldn't say there's too many mistakes. I think people just limit themselves to sponsors, and it's like you can do so much more. Like you could have certain spaces, you could have people that come on and do takeovers. You could build it out, and I think that's a big thing that needs to be addressed. Is not just relying on the newsletter. Like I get it on the newsletter, but you should be looking at building, I don't know, some sort of infrastructure behind it, not just a newsletter. But that's just me. But
Some sort of infrastructure.
like a website, a brand, a personal brand, and obviously that's more times, more content, premium subscription, 2 different tiers of premium subscription, so bronze, silver, gold. Like I've seen people do that, so like you can keep going up and up. Like why limit it just to one premium? There could be like bigger publications do it, like Barron's and Wall Street Journal, and then you can go into people go into masterclasses and go into coaching, and that's a big thing. And I don't. There are ones that do it. I'm not saying they don't, but I can imagine there's a lot of small ones that don't want to do that or don't do that. And you think people pay for the weirdest things. There's a lot of weird niches that people pay for. You think, there's a lot of things I want to learn that I would, whether it's windsurfing lessons to how to be a better bowler, to how to be a better poker player, to how to be a better whatever, like to learn to get your pilot's license. There's all sorts of weird niches that you can get into that you don't just have to rely on sponsors. You can rely on all sorts of different things. Yeah.
All right. Cool. So about growth, you started growing on LinkedIn just by writing content, and that was the early growth. That's how you got the first 1,000 subscribers.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Were you doing anything else or just LinkedIn, one channel?
Mainly LinkedIn. We had the website, so the website is doing articles, and you can offer like contributed articles and stuff.
LinkedIn, like articles?
No, on the website. On the website.
Oh, on the website. Okay.
Yeah. So you can get people on to write articles, but yeah, LinkedIn drove a lot of our subscriptions. It still drives a lot of our subscriptions. Yeah, we maybe looked at it the wrong way. Like starting with LinkedIn, maybe wasn't like it's not a very good platform anymore, in my opinion. Like it's changed, but there are people on there that really are looking for information and looking for news. But yeah, I think it's just a gradual thing. Like once you
Why
start
is it not
getting,
a good platform anymore? Like, would you, if you was, starting from scratch, would you use LinkedIn to grow?
maybe. I mean, it's important to be on there, in my opinion, especially if you're a business. Like it's another platform to be on, but I would have definitely picked Instagram over LinkedIn, 1,000%, because those are the kind of people that are much more, in my opinion, you can get much more reach much quicker. LinkedIn is very peculiar in how it algorithm seems to work. Like the post we least expect to go viral will end up getting 250,000 views. I'm like, fuck did that go? Like it's a really random post. Whereas Instagram already, and like I've seen people that create these kind of things, you know, you get much more consistency. LinkedIn's very, very hard to grow and engage, and also it's a business network. Like it's a professional network, and it just personally annoys me when I go on and I see someone writing about a Taylor Swift concert. I don't care. Like I'm here to learn like tips and tricks. Like, and people that post a selfie of them in a mirror about, I don't know, something about DEI or equity or personal gain. I just think, what are we doing? Like I'm here to learn about business strategies. So yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it feels like Instagram would be much more consumer oriented. So if you wanted,
Yeah, yeah. There
yeah.
you go. Consumer orientated. That's the right word. Like X, I'm finding really powerful. Like it's how I came across what you're doing, and you can find lists and niches very quickly in there. Like as much as people slate that channel, I find it really powerful. Like if I type in newsletter or Beehive, I find a lot of people to talk to about it very quickly, and everyone wants to get really engaged in that conversation. I haven't really experienced those things where people are like, "Oh, it's full of hate comments," and I've just never experienced it, so I can't
Mm.
speak to that. But
So you've you've been doing LinkedIn, and it used to be really good. It's still pretty, I guess, decent to get relevant subscribers, right? High quality
yeah.
subscribers. Um, what else have you tried? Have you tried paid ads? Have you tried any other channels? In your journey so far?
We've never tried paid ads. I don't think we've ever spent a pound on paid ads, as far as I'm aware. If you class sponsorship, yeah, we spent money, but no, I've never done paid ads. It's all been organic, and I think that's where um we're gonna have to go and do paid ads. I seriously don't see, because we've got a very, and like look, I don't know if our newsletter is the right format at the moment. Maybe it's what's stopping our growth compared to like a local newsletter or whatever, or a very niche specific or a long form newsletter. Like I read newsletters on cybersecurity, they're very long form, and I know they've got over 100,000 subscribers. Um, I think because we're general about quite a general topic, it's hard to get it bigger. But yeah, I think paid ads are affordable now. Like it used to be that I think people talk about them so much, they're much more affordable to do. You don't have to have big budgets. You can start literally with 50 quid as far as I'm aware.
Hmm.
Would you agree,
So,
or are you thinking no?
well, yes. I mean, I mean, well, actually, cost of ads have been going up,
Mm,
just because cost of everything is going up. So, uh, but yeah, I mean, I really like Meta because it's not, the algorithm is not necessarily only based on um, competition, so not based on how much your competitor can bid, but it's
yeah,
also based on how good your content is for the user.
yeah,
So it's not like Google where it's like, okay, this guy is bidding this much, and so if I can outbid him, then I'll win. With Meta, they really care about their users, the engagement, the user experience. So if you can
mm,
make ads that are um, more useful to users or more engaging, and they still perform well for you in terms of conversion rate,
mm,
then like you just have lower cost per result, cost per subscriber, cost per sale, or
mm,
whatever you're optimizing for. So I really like Meta in that regard, but and it's also really good for small businesses because you know they like you only need like I don't know 30, $50, maybe less, maybe more. It really depends on um your cost per result, but you don't really need much to start. So yeah, so it's really easy. But yeah, to scale it, it's you have to have strong economics to scale it. So
yeah,
strong revenue per subscriber, revenue per customer. You have to because if when you scale, the cost goes up, and you have to like find creative way to scale through different funnels, different pages, different accounts, whatever. So um
what do you see as like the most like, it makes me think, like, what's the most creative ads you've seen for newsletters? Like, it's always an interesting one. Like, how do you make a ad for a newsletter creative? Because I've seen some, and I just think, I wouldn't sign up to that. But then I kind of know who the newsletter is, and I'm like, I'll sign up because I know who it is. But I'm like, your ad's not selling me.
Yes, I've seen like the crazy stuff that I've seen ads that would just I would not I don't know what it is at all. I don't know if it's a newsletter. I don't know what it is. And it's
Yeah,
like it just like it feels like a bunch of random words,
yeah,
uh, but people are like, still buying it. And so and they're subscribing, and the cost actually is much lower than if you like write it in a language that is, like clean and like more direct. Like, hey, this is a newsletter, or like, if you because in marketing there is and it kind of makes sense, but the interesting part about marketing is like there's different markets and
yeah,
different things resonate to different people. So if you look at something that you don't care or you don't like, it doesn't resonate with you, you don't know what it is, you just ignore it. Like
mm,
there's a segment of people that they would like it would totally resonate with them, and they would subscribe. They would click on the ad. And actually they would subscribe. And so because there's different I guess problem awareness stages. So if you try to go to for people that are problem aware, you would get really high quality subscribers, but it might be more expensive because there's not many of them. But if you go
mm,
broader, cast wider net,
mm,
you might get more subscribers that are still relevant, but they might not buy stuff from you if you're selling something.
yeah,
So um but yeah, newsletters, like if you're monetizing with ads, you just want lower cost per subscriber, you can get a lot of people in for really low cost.
mm.
Yeah.
And there's like I saw someone, Yuri is his name on Yuri's Slov
Yes,
on
Yaroslav. Yes.
yeah, he's good for local newsletters, and I spoke to him. He's quite nice and kind and quite cool. And his he posted one the other day about I mean I think I've like messaged one message to him, so from what I've seen he's nice. But his paid ads and stuff he posted the other day, and it was like 37 cents per new subscriber. And I was like, that's really impressive. And you could kind of see how he was doing it, to my point earlier. And I'm guessing I'm not an ads person,
Mm.
but you could tell he was doing very small groups and just doubling down on the ones, or I got the idea that's what he was doing from the screenshot he shared. And do you know, is there a good like return on ad spend or a good subscriber rate to go for with newsletters, or is it kind of specific to what domain you're in?
Yes, it is pretty specific to domain you're in, and yeah, that just the industry has a huge impact.
Yeah,
Yeah. So like finance newsletters or VC newsletters, they would have higher cost per subscriber,
yeah, because they spend.
because it's like the industry is, like the platform knows, okay, it's finance. There's advertisers that are, bidding more, and I feel like potentially, I'm speculating, I don't know, but Facebook, it's their own platform, they can inflate things. So,
Yeah,
hey guys,
obviously,
let's make more money. Okay, increasing CPMs.
yeah, makes
um,
sense.
yeah. So, but no, I mean, yeah, for local newsletters, like you typically see cost that could be pretty low, right? Like 30 cents to $1, and also depends on the scale.
Mm,
So yeah, so I think that's a really good cost, and Yar is really good at newsletter ads.
yeah,
Yeah, we work together as well, and yeah, so the content he's posting, everybody go ahead and
yeah,
subscribe to Yar.
yeah. I've learned a lot from him. It's quite cool. You know, it baffles me, like you said, like I don't know if there's an area like your thing, Andy, but like it's amazing to me, to your point earlier. I don't know why I've just thought of this and tell me if I'm off point, but why brands, maybe it does happen, but I haven't seen it, or I can't remember the last time I did see it. Why brands don't buy newsletters? Like obviously HubSpot bought the Hustle, and you see those kind of acquisitions. But like in travel, like if I was Ryanair or Delta or Trivago or Booking or any of those big companies, like why you wouldn't just start and like basically get a creator to do newsletters out of fun, because the amount of newsletters I receive from companies, I'm like, this is just boring. like corporate shy. Like it's like I want to see some fun things. I'm amazed that's not like a like people haven't caught on. And I know businesses are buying creators like newsletters up and stuff and like keeping them on to write them and giving them whatever benefits they give them and a big fat paycheck to take over their newsletter. But I'm amazed like people don't go into partnership and say we'll go 50-50. Like we'll send you around the world, you go create all this content and you do it all for us. Like I'm amazed those kind of partnerships haven't started at scale yet. Like maybe they do exist. Like I know someone that goes to Dominic Mills. I don't know her that well, but I know her sister fairly well, and she's got like 130,000 followers, approaching 150,000 followers quite quickly. And I think she just gets paid by these brands to just like you see people do it with First Class and stuff. Like the people that like Trek Trendy, he goes around on cruises and he pays for it himself, but he makes a lot of money off like sponsors and ads and newsletter. And I'm amazed that's not become a thing with newsletters yet. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. Yeah. Yeah. It's a no-brainer, I feel like
Like you
nobody
think
wants to read corporate emails.
yeah, you think how boring some of the SaaS companies are, and you think why don't you go hire a fun creator to do your stuff? Like you could get so much more reach. Like yeah, baffles me.
Yes. Yeah. So that's a good point about, talking about content.
Mm.
How do you guys differentiate in your space? There's a lot of AI newsletters. How do you
Mm.
make sure people are, keep reading you?
It's what we're trying to do at the moment to make it more different. But I think like the big thing we're going to go into is quantum. I think quantum's a big area. That's not been like the announcement from Satya Nadella on the quantum breakthrough is really big, which always amazes me. Like Microsoft are really behind, and then they always come up with a breakthrough. Like they're the ones that, in my opinion, kind of pioneered cloud infrastructure, like how they moved things to the cloud and allowed you to do things not quite like SaaS, but allowed you to do a lot of things on cloud. And now they're doing it again with quantum. But anyway, with newsletter, I don't know, having fun. Like I really do think if you're not having fun, people notice, and if you're not passionate about it, people notice. And I think you want to follow people that, and people do have a knack for kind of hiding it, or they don't associate their personal brand with the newsletter or with the thing. Like there's newsletters I probably read and I don't know who's behind them. Like I think, and then I see who's behind them. I'm like, I'd never guess that. Like I have no, like, I would never have thought. Like, there's a cybersecurity one. I met the person who runs it, and it's TLDR on cybersecurity, and it's just a completely unexpected person running it that I thought would run it. And like similar with evolving AI, like I haven't met the person, but hopefully I'm going to be introduced. And they've got like 3 million, 2.5 million followers on Instagram. And I've just seen the guy, and like Chris started speaking to him, and I was speaking to him last night. He's like, yeah, really nice guy from the Netherlands. And I'm like, I would not have put him behind that brand. And it's where I'm going with this is like I don't know. I tie my personal brand to the AI journal quite closely, and maybe that's my downfall when I go to start other business. I don't think it will be because people will know I know how to talk about things and write about things, but just really being more fun. And I think that is a big change we need to bring to our newsletter. Like you read the big ones like Rundown and Superhuman. They're interesting. Like they're generic. Like they just don't really tell me much. Like they tell me the basic stories that I need to know. They don't really dive deep into it. I'll get much more out of a 1 hour podcast with a person than I will out of those newsletters because I can really understand the situation. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to be more unique. That's probably a question I'd ask you. How to
Hmm.
how to be more unique? It's I don't know. You try different things. Do you try polls? Do you try quizzes? Do you try links to certain content? Do you try collaborating with people? Do you try and find better sponsors? Do you try and run giveaways where you just give away a load of tech gadgets? Like what does the reader find helpful? And I think in AI that's quite hard, or in our scene it's quite hard to do. Like a local newsletter or something very specific. Like if I was writing a newsletter on travel, or if I was writing a newsletter on golf, or I was writing a newsletter on home design, you can really grill down into topics. I think that's what we've got to try and figure out, like how to maybe do longer form content or something. I'm not sure.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, differentiation is survival, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
exactly.
yeah, you might want to just be different for the sake of being different. Like, if even if you think, well, I don't know, maybe yeah, it's probably not a good idea, but I guess as long as there's gonna be some people that like you don't want to make everybody love you. Like you want to piss some people off and make some people like really love you.
Yeah.
So
So what do they say about where you are in America? What was it? Trump said if 50%, I don't know if it was Trump that said it, if 50% of the country hate me, I'll win the election. It's like, it's such
yeah.
a true stat. It's like,
Exactly, yeah.
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 Uh,
That's a good yeah, it's a good like example.
yeah.
If you were starting the AI journal today, what would you do differently?
Mm. Focus on I'd focus on making a lot more video content straight off the bat, really putting my name on that platform and talking things through in real format to get the traffic from Instagram converting to a newsletter where I can monetize it, which is a big thing to do. There's a person I'll send me afterwards that he does Instagram reels and he basically just sits at his desk, very cheap production, has done a bit of editing on it and how wears this cap. He's always in the same cap and the same hoodie. And he just talks about like the coolest thing in tech for that week. And he's got like 600,000 followers. And, someone like that creating a newsletter is instant. People know exactly who you are. It's big, big brand trust and sign up. And I don't even know if he's got a newsletter, but he does sponsored content on his Instagram from time to time, which annoys me. But the rest of his videos are really good. I'd probably focus on that. And I'd probably focus very quickly on collaboration, finding people that can. People shouldn't listen to me for AI news. People, I like I said with travel people can listen to you because you can go and travel it. Like you can tell your experience. With me telling you, Andy, what's the best ERP software to buy, how am I going to help you? Like I'm a small, I'm not a 1,000-person enterprise company or a 10,000-person enterprise company. And I think depending on your niche, what people are going into, whether it's a sport, home design, travel, cooking, fitness, whatever they're going into, I think collaboration is a big thing to get people going. To It's how podcasts go, right? They
Yes.
collaborate. They bring different voices on, and they collaborate more voices, and that's how they get big. And because they'll eventually come across a profile or an influencer or a big name that'll say, "Yeah, I'll come on your show for 3 hours," and they share it, and boom, you get signups overnight. And I think that doesn't really happen in the newsletter space too much at the moment, and it's I think it's something that needs to happen. I think, and that's what I'd probably focus on very quickly. Yeah.
What's the highest ROI activity you've done in the last 12 months?
Sponsored content, 100%. So they give us a piece of downloadable content, a report, you drive leads to it. They pay a lot more money than a sponsor on your newsletter. 100%. Someone will pay us 30, 20, 30, $40,000 and it takes 10 minutes of work. It's crazy. And you can push that. You promote, you copy and paste the segment and you put them in so many newsletter editions, you drive them to a landing page. And that's what my point was about, people building their own website, because you can control that as well and you can get those contact information. And I mean, that's what people pay for. Instead of paying for clicks to their links and their websites, if you're
Leads.
actively downloading that data, and people will pay a lot of money for that. And you've got qualifiers on it as well. So like phone number, company name, location, whatever, revenue size. And for cooking, it might be different. Like how comfortable are you in frying an egg, or whatever your qualifier questions are. Or maybe it won't be a piece of downloadable content. Maybe it'll be like a book a time, or a sign up link, or a Calendly, not Calendly, but something
Useful.
useful where you're really collecting that person's information. And as bad as it is, but you're doing it hopefully for the right reasons, that it shows a very heavy interest, because 10 people might click a link and you might get $2 per click or something for a Beehive network, or you might get a sponsor that you've said, okay, it's $3,000 through Paved, and there's no guarantee of how many clicks. When they can start seeing how many downloads they're getting and how many things, it's very easy to track, and it's very quick that they'll come back and say, we'll use you again, because it's like, and if you've got 1 million subscribers, I'm amazed more people aren't doing it. I really am. I'm amazed,
Mm.
because that kind of stuff, if you get 100 downloads, instead of just clicking a link, you've got phone number, contact, email,
No
job
brainer.
title, revenue size. Like 100 downloads of that, 20 grand, easy.
Yeah, if you look at, all of the big companies like HubSpot, all the like really, really big SaaS companies,
They're a big one. Yeah, they do the
they
people.
all like if you look at their Facebook ads, which I've done multiple times, they all running like lead magnet ads. So because for them it's not important to like for them data is more important because they have strong sales teams and they have all like the sales process really nailed down and figured out that they know, okay, this person doesn't buy today, but they're within our audience, within our target market,
There you
and
go.
they shown some intent. So yeah, let's like sell them let's really like hammer them, for the next, I don't know, 1 month, 2 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, and they know, okay, this is how long it takes us to close them. So eventually we'll close them, we'll get them. So the only thing we need is their phone number, maybe where they live, the company name, and yeah, and that they've shown some intent.
Exactly. And like with travel's a big one, because the moment they can see where you travel to, how much you spend on a holiday, like if they've got that information for the next 5 years, you are worth every £200, whatever they paid, however many leads that piece of content. It's exactly like you said, and it's a brilliant point you're making. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're really passionate about traveling. What are
Yeah, I
your
know.
top, yeah, what are your top like one destination that you traveled to?
Yeah. Maybe that's the next newsletter I'll do, Andy. I'll be coming to you saying, how do I start this travel one? Don't know. South America, I've traveled to. I've traveled to Asia. I was in Australia a couple of years ago. So I travel quite extensively. I don't go traveling much, and then I'll go traveling all in very one big go. But I mean, somewhere like Bolivia was very eye opening, and somewhere like Cambodia or Laos was very eye opening. It's very different. Like I just couldn't understand how they live their life. Not live their life, but how they live. Like I wasn't judging. It's just what you take for granted or what you do for things, and just don't know, seeing their quality of life. And like Vietnam's one of the places I will always go back to. Like it was just incredible, incredible way. Like in Japan, like just very different cultures, but both places that just fascinating. Like it really just fascinates you how they live, and they're also warm and welcoming and great food, and so much beauty built into so much chaos. Like it's crazy. Like it's Bolivia, I thought it's not a beautiful country. Well, it's beautiful in its own right, but it was just more chaos. Like it was like just anything kind of went there. Like it was just like crazy. Like I was just like, wow, like this is it's kind of self-governed in a way, which was interesting. What about you? Where have you traveled? That's been exciting.
Well, I like the boring Switzerland.
Yeah. Switzerland's fun. I gotta go skiing in Switzerland. Is that where you're from?
No, no, but
Oh,
I lived in Switzerland.
oh, nice, nice. Whereabouts?
Zurich, or like yeah, that area, yeah. And I've
Nice,
traveled all over Switzerland multiple times, so it's really
nice.
beautiful. In the summer only, like I don't know, winter. I'm not the big fan of skiing or like winter things. It's
Yeah,
really cold. Like yeah, I prefer the sun and warmth, and if
yeah,
it's neutral, then it's okay. If it's
yeah.
like here in the Bay Area, it can be cold, but it's not like really really cold like in Europe.
So you don't live in San Fran. You're just visiting San Fran at the moment.
No, I live. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you lived in. You said you just lived in Switzerland though,
Well,
or you?
yeah, I used to live in Switzerland.
Ah,
Like for a
okay.
little bit, yeah. But like travel also. You live and travel.
You move like do you move city to city, kind of like digital nomad kind of life, like seeing where the things are
No, yeah,
happening?
I lived in like one city and then I would just go, on a trip, like, long trip, maybe a week. And yeah,
Mm,
I had different ways I would travel throughout
yeah,
Switzerland, yeah.
yeah. There's some
But yeah,
interesting ways to travel.
it's pretty
Yeah,
beautiful. It's like I think it's the most beautiful country in Europe. Maybe Norway is also really good.
yeah. Norway's good. Norway's nice. I've never been to Norway. I don't know. I went skiing in Switzerland, all around there and everything, and it's it's beautiful. It's one of the few countries that's like kind of kept its cool for everything, just kept itself to itself and maintained a lot of its kind of history and everything. As
Yes.
explained. Beautiful.
Cool. What are your top 2 books?
There's a lot, but I've just finished one that's really good, which is the follow-on from Black Swan, which is really good, by what's his name? I'm gonna get it up. I
Black Swan?
read. Pardon?
You said Black
Yeah,
Swan?
yeah. What's that? Right.
Like Nassim Nicholas Taleb?
That's it. Yeah, yeah. So I've
Yeah.
just read his second one, and that was I finished that this morning, so that was really good. And choose your next, choose your enemies wisely by Patrick Bet David, and his other book's really good as well, which is your next 5 moves, which is brilliant. I'm about to read Anti-Fragile by Taleb. That's it, which is a really really good book because it basically makes you think like how many times we're wrong about so many things that we hold in our head to be right, and it's like a philosophy book basically. It's really cool. It's really cool. Mark Benioff's books are really good about Salesforce, like showing how he built it from the ground up. He got a very big leg up on how to start that company, but that's Trailblazer. It really shows you how he took the company from $10 million in funding to being the colossal giant that they are today, based out of San Francisco, Salesforce Tower. What else? Patrick David's good. How Google Works. That's a really good book that I'll probably reread. Some of the classic Mind books are really good, like Richest Man in Babylon, like basic like mindset for wealth generation, creation, or just thinking about money smartly, so you don't overspend, not necessarily making loads of money if that's not your goal, but to just spend what you've got in a way that's passionate towards you, what you care about.
Mm.
All things, but those two in particular, Choose Your Enemies Wisely, and the one I've just read, Anti-Fragile, were very good. 15 most decisive battles in the world. That's one Elon Musk recommended, and that was written in 70, just after the War of Napoleon. And like he was still in his book, he's interviewing people that have just come out of the Battle of Waterloo, and it's fascinating. So that was really good. Yeah, and that's not top 2, but those are some of my standout ones. And there's books that I'm told they're very good that I need to read, like
Wow.
Nuclear War by Annie Jacobson. I watched her podcast on Joe Rogan, and that really scared the shit out of me. So I read that, and it's kind of like how much power we've got at our fingertips is pretty crazy. Yeah. What about
Cool.
you? What
Well, my favorite one is actually Endurance by Endurance by who? Shackleton? Um, Alfred Lansing. But yeah, Endurance, Shackleton's Incredible Voyage.
nice. I'll have to read it.
Yeah, it's like top book. Yeah. But yeah, I like some of the business books for sure.
Yeah. Do you read or do you listen to audio?
Both, but yeah, lately I've been mostly reading actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So they said
it's
if you read and you put the audiobook on, you consume twice as much information, or you
yeah. Have you
consume it.
tried that?
No, I've not tried it
No,
yet.
I don't know.
I
I
might
feel
need
like that would be kind of hard. I don't know, but
to. It's true.
obviously, like if you want to maximize your efficiency of like retention of the material,
Mm.
then I think it sounds right. It sounds correct, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, read a book and maybe, yeah, listen to it. Maybe what else? Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like that's it makes sense to do it. Although I
makes
just
sense.
can't.
Yeah, but I've never gone, yeah, that far. Yeah. Well, cool. Where people can find you online?
Tom Allen on LinkedIn, Tom Allen on Instagram, AI Journal. Yeah, all the standard places. And on LinkedIn is where the AI Journal's big. Our newsletter, obviously, at the AI Journal, and yeah, I always make it a priority to. I just love chatting to people, so I'm
Mm,
always open to 5-minute chats to an hour chat. Like it's always fascinating. Like I feel like I should want to ask you more questions on this, Andy, but it's yeah, it's always fascinating to hear what people have to say. So come check us out. Would love to see.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks for coming on the pod. It was a huge pleasure. I think there's a lot of lessons about monetization, growth, content that newsletter operators can learn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's awesome to see you're doing this as well, man. It's a topic that's exploding. It really is getting big. So it's really powerful to see, or really interesting to see how you're bringing this kind of network of people together. Like hearing that as people I mentioned in newsletters and seeing what you put on X and everything. It's a big game because I think newsletters are something that just I get so much information from them. So understanding how to build your own, and it's not just a newsletter. It's like your personal brand. It's like a personal thing that you can own and things. So it's
yeah,
it's awesome what you're building.
for sure. Yeah, thank you. I was gonna say, so I was gonna ask, what do you like? Do you have a goal with the AI journal for the next, 3, 5 years? So when you come back, let's say to this pod, and you're like, oh wow, that's how I was thinking. Yeah.
We want to go into conferences, so we're going to run our first conference. I don't know if it will be virtual in person. We've got to manage the risk of that, but we're going to make it $1 to attend in person. So like literally $1, so like 70p. There is a caveat to that, but to build that and to build it into events across America, a lot of our audience is from America. So to bring one to San Francisco, to take one to Austin, and eventually probably sell it. Like I don't picture myself being in this. I wanted to learn these things to, who knows, maybe in travel, seeing as I won't shut up about that kind of stuff. But yeah, take it, sell it eventually, but just really learn a lot of lessons about building a brand, building a audience, getting attention, and helping people. Like helping, it's not just building a brand. Like people say that, like generally the brands that do the best are the ones that help people the most, and just trying to figure out how can I help people in a very free, cost-effective way that the bigger brands that can afford to pay can fuel that journey. And I think they'll be much prouder to feel that journey if they're helping people. So
Mm,
sell the company at some point in the next 5 years, build events, and get to 5 million subscribers. Maybe that's the plan.
very nice. Do you have the dates or the place of the event? The next event that's upcoming.
We're building at the moment. It'll be in London, the first one, and then we're building the American version out probably for next year, probably like March 2026 is when we're aiming for. We have different things that we're building in as well, but I mean, I'm always cautious. I did that in 2023, trying to build so many things at once,
Mhm.
and it failed. So I always think that's to do one thing really, really well, figure out how to automate it, and then move on to the next thing, and really. And that's the only reason we've moved off LinkedIn to Instagram, because we've built LinkedIn to a stage where we've got the following. It seems to be very regular and very consistent. Maybe we could do more, but we need to be on more channels to generate more revenue. And then maybe we'll hire someone to build that platform up alongside others, and we'll focus on building other things. But the newsletter
Do
is
you have a
important.
sales team, by the way, like that? No. Oh,
No.
yeah, you say it's 3 people, right?
Mm. A lot of it comes inbound. So a lot of sales come inbound, like a lot of
Mm,
sponsorship inquiries. And I mean, that's what we talked about earlier, Andy. Like, I don't think you need a sales team. I think you just need processes to kind of understand what's their budget, what do they want to do, and
mm,
if they can't answer those two questions, in my opinion, it's something I've switched to, and we started doing a lot better, because you filter out not necessarily time wasters, but if a brand can't come to you and tell you exactly what they want to spend, or not exactly, but have a budget and what they want to achieve, it's I kind of take the approach like I could be spending my time with someone that does know what they're doing. Like
yeah.
it's once you have that kind of network, I don't know, that's a bigger question, but it's
So basically, when they come to you, you want to know their budget, and then what their goal is, so you can help to achieve that goal within that budget, like
yeah.
maximize the result.
Yeah, because we've had it before where big companies have come to us and they ask and they blank you, and they ask all these things like quickly it's like, look, we're a very basic business model. Like these are our options. And it's like, if I was telling you, Andy, to buy a car or buy a house, you always have a budget in mind. It's it should be no different. It's like you should know what you want to do. You should
Yeah,
have an idea in mind how much you're going to pay us, and we'll either tell you. It's like saying, "Oh, I want to get a Ferrari F40 for £100,000." I'd say you're on crack. Like it's not going to happen. Like you need to, get out £2-3 million, and maybe we've got a deal. Or buying a Range Rover for $10,000, I'd say they're 100,000. I don't know how much they're in America, but I'd imagine $100,000 plus. And it's like, and some people say, I know I want to buy, I don't know, an Audi, and they say my budget's 50 grand. It's like, yeah, you've probably got the right kind of car in mind. It's like, have you similarly, like, or a holiday or cooking or whatever it is, have you got a budget in mind that's going to match our product? Because if not, why are we, like, if you're coming to me saying my budget's $100, it's like, well, we might have a product for you, but it's not going to get you all these likes and engage. Like, it's going to be on the lower end. If you come to us saying we've got $10,000, well, now we can do X, Y, Z. And I think newsletters have a very good approach that they can scale with the budget. So if someone comes to you and says we've got a budget of 40,000, we're planning on spending, which has happened to us loads of times, we're planning on spending $5,000 to $8,000 with you. You've got a budget. Like, otherwise you're putting things together thinking, are they going to spend $1,000? Are they going to lowball me at $500? Are they going to? I think it's very hard. I think it's very important to, especially with brands, in B2B or B2C, to say, what is it you're spending? What's your time frame, and what are your KPIs? How are you going to be measuring the success with us? Those are 3 key things I look for. And if you can't answer them, it's not being rude or pushing you away. So you're always welcome to work with us, but go think about that, because I'm just going to end up in limbo land with you where you get annoyed at me. And it's happened. Like, it has happened. People get annoyed, and it's like, well, we're sorry you came and spent £5,000 with us and we didn't get the results, but I really don't know what you're expecting. Like, it's like when you get annoyed with meta ads. Like, I don't know if this is true. Tell me if this is true, Andy. You go spend £5,000 in meta ads, or 10 grand, or £500. You don't you get annoyed that you misspent the money, but it's like, you can't get annoyed at the platform, because part of it might be on you, like the creative or the groups you're going after. Like, you don't blame the platform for that. Like, you have to do your research. It's a similar thing, in my opinion. But because they've got someone to point the finger at, you take the blame. And it's like, I don't have a magic wand. Like, I need to know what you're expecting here. So.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, cool. Yeah, I really appreciate you, being in the pod, and I really enjoyed the conversation. So, yeah, hope to see your newsletter grow to 5 million in the next 5 years or 3 years.
Yeah, we'll talk about it on each of our podcasts. I'd love to have you on, and we can talk about everything you're doing and
For sure.
see how over the years.
Let's do it. Cool. Awesome. Well, yeah. Thanks for being on here, and yeah, everybody else. Like, if you found this valuable, please make sure you share and subscribe to the channel and share it with somebody who you think would find this valuable as well.